Hey, what's up guys? It's Lucas and you're watching Fine Tuning. Today we're going to be checking out the PRS Archon 50 watt head and matching 2x12 cabinet. I hope you guys enjoyed that track because I had a ton of fun making it. So I'll solo out some of those sections from the song here in just a minute so you can hear them by themselves, and also I'll play some other kind of stuff outside of the mix just so you can hear it. But first, let's go over the specs. The new Archon 50 for 2021 is no flash and no trash, which I really appreciate. It's a very straightforward 50 watt amp with two channels, clean and dirty. Both of those channels have the same controls for gain, bass, middle, treble, and volume, and they also both have individual bright switches. And then there's a global presence and depth control for the entire amp, which kind of helps you dial it into your cabinet of choice. It also has a very nice sounding effects loop, which in this case I've used to put a little reverb on the clean sounds and also a little bit of noise gate on the drive sounds. The amp is powered by 6 12AX7 preamp tubes and two 6C-A7 power tubes. I have to tell you, I'm not intimately familiar with 6C-A7 power tubes, but it's my understanding that they are described as kind of a mix between 6L6 and EL34s, kind of a little bit of the best of both worlds. And after playing with the amp and recording with it and kind of really getting to know it, yeah, to me, I would say that's a pretty apt description. There's a little bit of that kind of stiff sizzle that you get from an EL34 power tube, but there is also a deep kind of soft warmth in another sense. So it kind of feels like you're playing two amps. It's a very three-dimensional sound. PRS was also nice enough to loan me the matching 2x12 cabinet, so I definitely want to mention that as well. So it's a kind of diagonal 2x12 where you have one 12 lower and one a little bit higher, so they can kind of get the cabinet a little closer this way. But it's very full and deep sounding. It's a closed back cabinet. It has Celestion V-type speakers, which are 70 watt speakers. So this is a 212, so it's rated at 140 watts. And it sounds fantastic. Everything, just this whole setup, exactly, I don't mean to gush, but this whole setup, just exactly the way it is, sounds stellar. I have no complaints. It's exactly what I would use for this kind of music. I used to work for a PRS dealer several years ago when the original Archon came out. I had an Archon 25 watt combo, which was a good sounding little amp, and I am intimately familiar with the 50 and 100 watt original Archon amps, and they are great. But they have gone a long way to kind of improve and streamline some things about these amps that I really appreciate. And the big one for me is the sweep of the gain control on the lead channel. On the older Archon, you could sort of turn the gain down, but it didn't really feel like you were turning it down that much. It kind of just felt like you were sort of maybe losing some sustain and maybe thinning it up a little bit. But now you have a very usable gain control sweep. All the way from the low end, you can get kind of more classic rocky type sounds, and then as you crank it up, you can get in full, really saturated metal and lead sounds. The other thing I noticed is that on the clean channel for the original Archons, it was a very high headroom clean sound, which was great for arpeggiated picking and clean passages or running pedals into and stuff like that. But I found it to be a little stiff and maybe a little sterile sometimes. And this has that high headroom clean sound, but it feels more friendly to play. I don't know how to describe it other than that. And it is high headroom in the sense that I have the gain on the clean channel turned all the way up for these sounds. But it's still very clean, and it just feels good under my fingers, like a nice, pretty, sparkly kind of sound, which I really like. So let's go ahead and solo some of those sections out so you can hear what they sound like. I used 3 different guitars to record the track in the beginning, and for all of the heavy, kind of distorted sounds, I use my PRS DGT, which is basically my favorite guitar. It has my Planet Tone Statera pickups in it, but you're hearing the bridge pickup. And that was just going through the Archon's drive channel and nothing else. That was it. That's the sound. And then for the clean, kind of finger-picked stuff, I was using my PRS SC245 on the neck pickup with that's a PRS 5708 neck pickup. And that had a beautiful, warm, kind of clean, crystal clear sound, which I really enjoyed. then to kind of just add a little something extra to the clean sound, what I did is I also tracked, I have a little mini Jazzmaster guitar back there, and I have that guitar, it's a travel kind of size guitar, and it's a short scale, so I have that guitar strung up with Nashville tuning strings, and which is basically kind of like the upper strings of a 12 string, and I have that Nashville tuning tuned to D5 basically, which is the kind of My Sacrifice Creed tuning. Okay, so I still have the amp set up from recording that track, so I thought I'd just plug my DGT right into my pedal board and everything and have it set up with the amp. So I'm going to show you the clean sound. We're going to run an overdrive pedal into the clean channel so you can hear what that sounds like. We'll do the drive sound, and then I'll also boost the drive channel so you can kind of hear that if you're more wanting to hear like what the amp will do in that really tight, aggressive metal situation. So let's start with our clean sound. Alright, now using that same clean sound, I'm going to turn on my Vertex Ultraphonix Overdrive, which is kind of a mid-gain Dumble style overdrive, and I'm going to add a little bit of delay into the effects loop, and you'll see that I think this amp takes pedals really, really well on the clean channel. Now, of course, the Archon is really designed to do more aggressive, heavier type sounds. So let's start with the amp unboosted on the drive channel. I've got the gain a little over halfway, and it's cranking out really hard. And of course, a lot of modern metal guys really like to boost the front of high gain amplifiers to get that really tight, saturated sound. For my personal preferences, I don't think this amp necessarily needs it, but I'm going to show it to you anyway, just because you might be curious. So what I have is the Electric Eye Audio Mud Killer on the floor, and I'm using that to really just slam the front end of the amp with a lot of volume and a little bit of preamp gain, and that kind of sounds like this. And of course, as you might guess, this amp sounds great for high gain lead stuff as well. So I'm going to turn on a little bit of delay in the effects loop and hit the front of the amp with my Exotic Effects EP boost to kind of really just saturate it and play some lead licks, and you can hear what that sounds like. Alright, so that's the PRS Archon 50 watt head and 2x12 cabinet. Thanks so much to Gene at PRS for loaning this to me for this video. I've had such a good time playing with this amp. I like it so much that I'm going to go get one because they sound incredibly good. And I can just foresee myself gigging with this kind of amp because it's just big enough to sound huge, but not so big that it's a pain to put in the back of your car, which I really appreciate. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will leave links in the description to this amp and the pickups and all the relative stuff, so you can go find it down there. If you like what I do, please like the video, leave a comment, subscribe if you're so inclined, and until next time, I'll catch you later.